Howdy, freelancers, consultants, designers, developers, anybody building a business so that they can live the kind of life that they want. Today's episode's a little different, and it's answering a question that came on the heels of basically after recording a podcast with Sara Dunn. She's a web design agency owner, and she's actually documenting her process, her emotions, her path in figuring out how to transition from being a generalist web agency to a very specialized web agency. And she's documenting this all on her website and YouTube. And I definitely suggest you go check that out. It's Sara-Dunn.com, Sara-Dunn.com. And, you know, she asked me a question: how did I come about my own niche? How did I become a specialist in what I do? And I wish I could say that it was some thoughtful and tactful and measurable actions that I took. But honestly, it was a lot of self-reflection, support, and understanding. I basically made the decision to niche down due to the fact that I had a support system that backed me in my long-term life goals. And I'll probably release something of a longer form content around this, inspired by Sara. So thank you, Sara, at some point. But in the interest of being concise, up for this show, let's just say that I was in a really vulnerable spot and pretty close to being burned out when I spoke to my then fiance, now my wife, about abandoning this whole freelance, start my own business kind of thing and go back to work for somebody else. But she ultimately gave me the kick in the butt, right? Basically told me in not so many words, but basically she wouldn't allow me to give it up. And so I had to basically at this point figure out this whole specialized thing out, right? This whole niche down thing out. Because, hey, look, if you're going to be going to spend the rest of your life with somebody, and she tells you that she doesn't want you to get a job, then what other choice do you have? So ultimately, my business and my goals are different from yours. Let's face it, right? But I'd like to share with you a few steps to consider if you're thinking about specializing or if you're trying to figure this whole niche thing out. These are some of the things that I went through, right, over a period of a week or two, really just in self-reflection. And the first thing you want to do is, if you have current clients or past clients, take a look at them, go back, evaluate them, evaluate the projects. Do you enjoy working on those type of projects? Do they make you feel excited? Would you want more of them, right? Then review them, right? After you've kind of reflected on them, taken some notes, maybe outlined some things, review them and start to see common elements in all of them, and not just the good things, but also the bad things, right? Remember that you want to define what you don't want to do as much as you want to define what you want to do, right? Then the very next lead that comes your way that doesn't fit into your ideal client and or project, refer them somewhere else. Don't worry, there will be more work around the corner, I promise. But go ahead and do that, because it'll start that momentum of picking and choosing and allocating your time to only focus in on the things that you really want to focus in on and enjoy doing. I think a lot of this whole specializing and niching down thing comes down to really how we handle ourselves and feelings, right? Sometimes we can't get out of our own way. The conversation with Sara and watching her journey brought back a lot of things that I hadn't thought about in quite a while, because I did this 7 years ago. And most of which, these things aren't things that worksheets or how-to guides can solve, right? But I think if we do a little bit of self-reflecting, a bit of recognizing our own feelings and our own emotions, with the idea that there's this ultimate place we want to get to, we can build the kind of business that we want and live the kind of life that we all desire. So if you are in the process of niching down, ping me on Twitter. I want to know. Let's have a conversation. I'm at Rezzz with 3 Z's on Twitter, and let's have a conversation about it. I want to see if what your thoughts are around this topic and why you're coming about this. What's your story? What's your background and story along that? So I hope this was helpful. And again, go check out Sara and say hello for me. All right. Until next time, it's your time to live in the feast.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.